Here we are looking again to figure out if the relation is also a function. So does each x go to exactly one y? To figure that out, we're going to solve the relation that we have here for y. So I'm going to first distribute anything that can be distributed. So I have 6 times x is 6x. 6 times -1 is -6. Equals, I just have an x here, nothing to distribute there, but I have 7y times y, which is going to be 7y squared. And then 7y times 1 is 7y. And then I have a minus 7y at the end. And now I'm going to try to get y on one side by itself. Here it looks like all the y's are already on the right side. So I'm going to keep the y's on the right and move anything without a y to the left. So first term here, 6x minus 6. I have a 6x. I need to keep that on the left. It doesn't have a y, so it should stay on the left. Same thing with the minus 6. We're just going to keep it over here. First thing I have to move is this x. So I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides. And then everything else on the right is already a y. So I'm good to go with the 7y squared plus 7y minus 7y. And now I see there's some like terms that I can combine. So on the left here, I have a 6x and a minus x. So 6x minus 1x is going to leave me with 5x. And I have a minus 6 equals, and on the right side, I have 7y minus 7y. So 7 minus 7 is going to give me 0y. So they're going to cancel out, and I'll just have 7y squared. I'm getting closer to having y by itself, but I'm not quite there. I need to divide both sides by 7. So that's going to give me 5/7 x minus 6/7 equals y squared. I'm so close to having y by itself, but still not quite. I need to get rid of that squared. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And when you do that, you always do plus or minus the square root. So I end up with y equals plus or minus the square root of 5/7 x minus 6/7. And the reason why that we have that plus or minus on the side is because when you take the square root and it has numbers in it, it could be a positive or negative number as the square root. So if you think about a number, just doing a random example off to the side here, if you think about 36, the square root of 36 could be positive 6 or it could be negative 6, because 6 squared is 36, but also negative 6 squared is 36. So when you have a number on that left side there, you need to do plus or minus the square root. So now we can do a couple different ways. We can plot using the y equals button on our calculator and typing in the equation and hitting graph. The other way is to just plot some points to start. That's what we did last time. We said we can start by just plugging in an x and a y. So we can pick a random x to plug in. So say we plug in 0. When we plug in, we're going to get positive the square root of 5/7 times 0 minus 6/7. And if we go to plug that into our calculator, it gives us an error. We can't take the square root of a negative number. So we need to pick a different number to test. We don't even get a single y value out there. And that's because we ended up with the square root of a negative number, which you can't do. So let's pick a bigger number than that. Maybe let's pick 14. So we plug in, we're going to do the square root of 5/7 times 14 minus 6/7 and see what we get. So in my calculator, I am hitting second, and then x squared will give me a square root. In parentheses 5/7 because it's a fraction, you put it in parentheses, and then you have times 14, so you put that in parentheses. So really how I'm typing it is I have two sets of parentheses, one around the 5/7, one around the 14, and then minus I have 6/7 in parentheses. And I'm getting about 3.02. But remember, it's plus or minus the square root. So I would get positive 3.02 or I would get minus 3.02. So that means when I plug in 14, it goes to two y values. It goes to 3.02 and it goes to negative 3.02 because the rule is plus or minus. That's part of our equation. So each x value could be going to two y values. We tested 14. That was just a random x value and it was going to two y values. So could this possibly be a function? No. This is not a function because each x does not go to just one y. We tested 14. 14 went with positive 3.02, and then we also had 14 comma negative 3.02, thanks to the plus or minus that we got when we solved for y equals. So definitely not a function.